So, welcome back to another session of Just Me. And today we're joined by the wonderful, and I mean this, the truly wonderful David Hieatt. I have followed this man. I met this man many, many years ago, and is I have very few heroes, but he certainly is one of them. David, welcome. Please tell everyone. Well, obviously, we know who you are, but what is it that you do?
Well, I'm a co-founder. Thanks for the introduction, by the way. It's very nice.
Very
Um, uh, I'm a co-founder. Like a serial entrepreneur. I sort of run businesses with Claire, my wife, and so I've got a brilliant business partner. We co-run Hieatt Denim company, which is on a quest to try and get 400 people their jobs back in a small town in West Wales. And we also run a thing called the Do Lectures, which is like a small 100 person event in a cowshed in West Wales that just happens to be world class. And yeah, so those things keep us plenty active.
And how did you start? I mean, where did your journey start? Because you've done some incredible things in your career, but where did it all begin?
Well, I guess, I've always been interested in brands, and as a kid, my ceiling was covered in posters of brands like Puma and Adidas, and to the extent that the rule was I couldn't cover the windows and the door handle had to be obvious. But the rest was fair game for posters and stickers. And so at
Wow.
that early age, I was going, "Oh, I really love these things," and I didn't know truly why I loved them. And at 16, I decided to drop out of school and not do A levels and try and start my own brand. And within 6 months, I was out of business.
Wow.
Went back, did my A levels, and then went to college, and then got thrown out of college. And but I had this book. I bought this book, and it was Ogilvy on advertising, and it kind of just like had just full of ideas. And I'm going, wow, that's pretty. That's the industry I like to be in. And the best part, it didn't need any qualifications, and I was very qualified from that point of having no qualifications. So, I was very fortunate to get a job. I was unemployed for a year and a half. I had 150 different interviews, but eventually
Wow.
got a job at Saatchi and Saatchi.
But I mean, what a place to start. I mean, that's possibly, the kind of many people call it the apex of kind of advertising. But for you to have kind of been interested in brands as a young boy and then to get to Saatchi's, I mean, that's huge, isn't it?
Yeah, it was a very big thing. And you got to bear in mind, I was a copywriter. I was paid to be a copywriter. I couldn't
Mm.
spell and I had bad grammar. But at
Wow.
21, you're hired in what was at the time like Britain's, actually the world's most successful advertising agency measured in terms of awards. And so I was effectively, I sort of landed in this creative department with the most talented, amazing people. And and I felt very uncomfortable in as much as I knew my talent was only this, but I was happy to learn, and I was slightly raised by wolves in terms of, after a year and a half on the dole, you really don't want to eat any more beans on toast. So I was really galvanized to see if I could get good at this thing, and I loved words and I love brands, and a great brand is a really a well told story. So in essence, I learned how to tell stories at Saatchi's, and it was a great university of ideas. I was really really lucky to have got that job. I worked hard to get it, but I was still got to have the grace of going, oh man, I did get a bit lucky. It was the right place at the right time.
I mean, did you have any kind of vision or goal about what you wanted to do with your career?
I didn't really have like an end goal at the beginning. The goal mostly was not to be unemployed anymore. And London's like a brilliant city, but not when you're skint and you're on the dole. So I was definitely galvanized by, oh, I really want to be around people, and I don't want to be in my bedroom writing ads anymore on my own. So when I started my own brand at 16, I really did fall in love with the idea of running my own brand at some point, and my dad had lent me, £500, bless him, um, to go and start that brand, and he didn't have very much money, so that was a lot of money to him. And after 6 months, I had to go back to him and say, "Hey, Dad, like, I can't make this thing work." And he said, "Well, what did you learn from doing this?" And I said, "I learned I really love it."
Wow.
Um, and and he said, "Well, the next thing you need to learn is to be so good at it that you can keep doing it." And actually, maybe going to Saatchi's was the learning of how to be good at it. It's kind of interesting. My dad, he was like in the merchant navy. He was an electrician, and imagine this: you go into a ship every 6 months or every 3 months or whatever your term is, and effectively you're the electrician of that ship. So it's very easy to, like, you don't have to do a good job. So because the next electrician will come in, and it doesn't really matter. You're never going to meet that electrician. And there was a little bit of a thing of going, I don't have to really do a good job. And my dad was like a perfectionist, and so that didn't sit very well with him. And so what he was doing, like, and he started this practice that if he did a job, he'd go and sign it, initial it. And so because the culture was really to go and blame the previous electrician, going, oh, that was the previous electrician. And my dad said, you ain't going to blame me. I'm going to put my name to everything, even to change a light bulb. He was just like going, I'm going to do a good job,
Wow.
and so you should do the same. And when he told me that, I was going, wow, okay, that's perhaps where I get something from it. And actually, that signing thing was part of the reason we started signing our genes. And there's also another story of Steve Jobs, getting all the people, the engineers of the original Macintosh, to sign um, the inside of the Macintosh, even though nobody would ever see it. Um, so yeah, so it kind of he influenced me to like that thing of like, if you're going to do something, do it really well or don't do it. And I love that.
And that's something that stayed true to you, because I mean, on all the talks that I ever hear you do, and on kind of lectures and podcasts and stuff and whatever, it always comes through, doesn't it? And it's also part of the Hieatt Denim philosophy too.
It's kind of interesting with Hieatt because we had a previous company, called Howies, and we were actually doing lots of things there.
Mm.
And I spent 2 days in a range meeting, which is also a clue of, maybe you got too much in your range. But I could have shut my eyes for a second and just went, God, I can't actually remember 99% of what we just saw. And it was a really galling thing to have to say to yourself, where you go, oh. And when I left Howie's, I said, I actually just want to really narrow down and try and see if we can do something so incredibly well we could be the best in the world at it. And I think so that's been my quest of just going, right. Can we narrow down, be narrow. Um, we only know how to make jeans. The jeans factory, the old one in the town, only made jeans. So their skill was only about making jeans. And I think sometimes, as human beings, we're really good at adding complexity to our lives and to our business by, maybe doing things that we don't have skills for, but maybe we can go and put our name on that bobble hat, and we'll sell it, even though it's not the best bobble hat. It's and that's what brands do a lot, is they spread themselves a little bit too thin. And I kind of thought the opportunity with Hyatt is just going to look, we're just going to make jeans, and it's fine. There's enough legs in the world for us to get 400 people their jobs back. It's fine. And there's 75 different tasks and processes to making a pair of Hyatts, and
Wow.
we only have to be world class at 75 of them.
Wow.
And that's, that's a lot. I mean, that's a,
Mm.
like the grandmasters have made jeans, for 20 or 30, 30 years. I mean, if you measure all the hours of deliberate practice that they've put in,
Mm.
it's a lot of knowledge and it's a lot of skill. And And I think, like when we started, I think, wow, like just doing jeans, that in a way is feels like a little bit of a cheat because that's all you're going to focus on. But now it feels like, God, even to do that one thing incredibly well is just every day of just going, can we do this better? Can we do this better? And
Wow.
it's really ambitious quest. If you could do one thing in your life better than almost anyone on the planet, that's a really big quest. Do you mean?
Yeah, that's so lovely. So, what obstacles have kind of helped and hindered you along the way?
Um, I think there's always obstacles, and I think the obstacles can sometimes be big and they can sometimes be small. Um, when we're starting, is to start again from with Hieatt Denim is like the obstacle is, can we make a great pair of jeans? Yes, we can make one of the best pairs of jeans in the world, probably. And
Mm,
but like no one knows about you,
yeah.
and so the obstacle is, well, no one knows about us, and we don't have much in terms of marketing budget. We probably spent all the marketing budget on a coffee machine and some paint for the floor, and so that obstacle is also a gift, right? So you suddenly go, well, we'll have to be really creative then if we want to go and stand out in this world. We'll have to go and tell our story really well if we want to go and stand out in this world. We'll have to absolutely be as good at our story as we are as making our jeans. So it's sometimes that a lot of times for entrepreneurs, they go, oh, we don't have that budget. It's fine. I mean, but you have creativity and you have a blank piece of paper, and you can turn that blank piece of paper into absolute magic.
That's so
You're only
brilliant.
ever one idea away from like changing everything.
Wow. Wow. I love that. So what keeps you going? I love the idea of kind of the blank piece of paper and the magic you can create from that. So what keeps you going when things get tough? Because I mean, I know when you I mean, Howie's was incredible. I mean, your catalogs. I mean, they were described, weren't they, as little Bibles of goodness, and they
Mm.
were brilliant, brilliant. Genius pieces of work. But what I mean, what keeps you going when stuff tough gets, times get really tough? Because I know they have been tough for you over the years.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's. I mean, there's a couple of things. If you don't truly believe in what you're doing, when things get tough, and they get tough for everybody, right? So, if you're Nike, you had 10 years of toughness. But for Phil Knight, running was so important to him that he couldn't fathom how to give up. And so like, I think entrepreneurs give up when the economics don't work or this doesn't work, or but essentially is they don't truly believe in it enough to find the way, because there's actually almost always a way.
Wow.
And I think it's the thing that keeps me going is, well, you know for us in Hyatt is, well, we got such skills,
Mm,
and the mission is to pass those skills on to the next generation. Or what was the point of having the factory for 40 years in the first place? So the quest is to pass the skills on to the next generation. So if that's really important to you, then you've got to find a way when things get tough, and it's okay. I mean, tough times are good teachers, and they teach you to like be agile. They teach you to maybe think about something in a really completely different way. They teach you to be brave when actually you
mm,
were reliant on a formula that was always working until the day it didn't work. Um, but you've got to fall in love with these small wins and the incremental little gains, and there's some days that will beat you up,
mm.
and you will. If you were a boxer, you are on the ropes and you're taking punches, and you just hope that goddamn bell rings in the next second, so
Brilliant.
you can just go to bed, get some sleep, and get out of that bed and just go again. because there's no like magic bullet. Sometimes it's just you just got to keep at it, and you got to keep grinding away. And
That's
you
so
know, I mean,
cool. Because one of the things that you did, when you were younger, with when around sort of Howie's time, was that you started running again, didn't you? And you just
yeah,
kept on going.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, running was like nobody could phone me, um, and I couldn't answer email, and nobody would email me when I was running, and just to be up on the Preseli Hills, and you just there going like you kind of know that you're in like an ancient mountain that has just not changed, and yeah, and as much as you think you're important, it's going good to go out running and actually feel small again, and you're kind of slightly irrelevant to the process of the mountain,
Wow.
and it's good, the running sort of quietens you down, and for me it always, like if there was something that was bugging me and it seemed massive, by the time I finished running it was be solvable and quite small.
Yeah. So, what advice, if you could go back to the sort of 16-year-old who was kind of giving up school, or didn't want to kind of do A levels and stuff, what advice would you give to your younger self?
um Learn to write and
Oh,
like
really?
blog every day, because
Wow.
and blog every day, so you go to the gym of words and you practice the gym, because the best brand builders are storytellers, and if you can rearrange those 26 letters in the right order, you're literally gonna win.
That is so, so cool. I love that. And what advice would you give to others?
Find something that really intrigues you and you're super curious about, and try and pick the thing that actually where, and this is actually important, is try and pick something that where like the trend is going to doing, like, or the zeitgeist is moving to, and find like an area where you think, God, that's going to be a really interesting area. And like right now, like the Web3 aspect is super fascinating, and how the internet's going to be changed. If I was a young kid right now, I would go and like, I would be there going, wow, that's going to be an interesting space. You need to find interesting spaces, and you have to have the curiosity for them, and because the curiosity is going to serve you so well that you could get so good at something.
Brilliant. And that goes back to your philosophy of kind of do one thing well.
Yeah,
And
completely.
what legacy? I mean, I know when you're saying, I love the thing about Denim and passing on all that skill, kind of gene making, to kind of younger generations. But what legacy would you like to leave behind personally?
I mean, there's some private ones and public ones, and the private one is just like, I hope my kids can be proud of me, and I hope, like, I hope they think, wow, what a dad I had. Um, so I think that would be a beautiful
It's really
thing.
nice.
And for the team, I would just say, I hope they feel like I helped them to do their best work they've ever done. I created a space where, through encouragement or capabilities or just belief that they could go and do the best work they've ever done, and live where they want to live, and have a great life. Do you mean so? Like, because for a long time, I really was, I didn't really want to be the boss, and I don't really like being a boss, and I don't like, I'm not a manager. The thing that I've sort of settled with is I'm quite happy to be a coach, in terms of, um, when people are really keen to learn, I really want to be around those people.
Yeah,
So I love the coaching aspect of being an entrepreneur, where you go, hey, what about this? Hey, have you thought about this? And what if we did it this way? What if we took more risks? What if we were a little bit braver? And I think that would be a nice thing.
I mean, how many people do you now employ at Hieatt?
I think there's about 30 of us, and it's, we want to get 400 people their jobs back, but I mean, it's taken us 10 years to get to 30. But I am a big believer in compound interest, where if we keep going, that over time that it will, get more and more. But also right now is like trying to create a space for those 30 people to do their best work. So,
Got you.
there's a big ambition, but also, the daily ambition is like, do people actually look forward to coming into work?
Yes.
Which is kind of important because you spend an awful long time there. So,
And how do you find and see the magic in people? I mean, you said just now that you like kind of coaching and helping people that are willing to learn. But how do you find the magic in people? Because I mean, you've worked with some incredible people over the years, and incredible people have worked with you. But how do you find that magic? How do you get that out of them? Because I mean, the stuff that you do at the Do Lectures, David, is extraordinary. I mean, you have people flying in from around the world who've done amazing things, and they I mean, people admire you, and they sort of sign up to your philosophy, and they just see something. But how do you get that magic from them?
well, I mean, in terms of, with the Do Lectures, it was harder at the beginning because you had no reputation. We didn't even have a website. So when we were saying to people, come and do a talk in West Wales in the middle of nowhere, it was a harder thing to do than it is now. But it's kind of interesting is every time I used to think about the Do Lectures, I would think, oh my God, we're in the middle of nowhere. And I used to think that was the problem. Oh, we're in a cowshed, and that's the problem. You can, oh, we're only 100 people event, and that was the problem. But actually, all those things were the things that made us.
Mm.
Um, the fact that we're very far away means the speakers come and they stay for 3 days because it's taken them so long to come to. They're not going to just come and do their talk and leave, which is what happens at most conferences. Do you mean so?
Yeah.
And being in a cowshed, which is not perfect, they get perfect everywhere. So it's kind of like, it's kind of very often you think of your weaknesses that actually they're your strengths.
Wow.
Um, and the thing that we say to speakers, which is kind of interesting because they probably don't get asked, it's just like go and do the talk you'd always wished you had,
Oh.
and don't do the one you always do. Um, and because when they open up as a human being, is everybody can walk through that door doing, and
Mm.
they can see them, and that's the beauty, and so, and but it's, whereas, like, if there are some competition out there and there are 1,000 people or 2,000 people, you go like, we're the best 100-person event in the world, I
Oh.
believe, and actually, what doesn't scale very well is being super intimate. So at 100-person event is you really feel like you've been there, and again, like, I used to think that was a weakness, and now I suddenly realize it's a strength. So
Oh, it's lovely, and it really is a cowshed, though, isn't it? I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
an old cowshed.
Oh, it's just amazing. But the thing that I love about your kind of your story and your history and your journey is that you find those lovely little bits and nuggets everywhere. Whether it was Howies or selling trainers as a teenager, or
Mm.
or working at Saatchi's. I mean, have you always been kind of sunny side up? Well, let's kind of do stuff. I mean, is that something that's always stayed with you?
Yeah, I kind of I, I do believe in business to do good. Do you mean so? I am that optimist, and some days it's hard to be optimistic, and some days it's hard to be hopeful.
Mm.
Um, but I think that's the job of the founder, really, to carry that optimism forward. And I mean, I started selling tip tops, at school because I thought, wow, the shop is 3 miles away. I could do really well here, and that business was really successful until my customers wouldn't use the litter bin, and the headmaster soon found out there was a secret lollipop seller amongst us. Um, and I think with entrepreneurs, they've all got those stories of, like, they went and did something early on,
Mm.
um, which kind of really points to where they were going to head throughout their life.
That's so brilliant. And what I mean, we use this term kind of fizzy pop moment where you kind of feel this sort of fizzy pop going on inside you. Where do you get your fizzy pop moments from?
Um, I love it when we do something new and we're not 100% sure if it's going to work or not. And suddenly, not only does it work, it works so much better than we even thought it could. And I guess it's around ideas where you go, wow, like I am a firm believer. Like, I mean, it is, to say that quote from, when we started was, like, do do you wish it was easier or do you wish, we were better? And actually, if you wish it was easier, is mostly, you kind of want to have a grant, or you want the economy to better, or you want the government to do something or bail you out, and really you're outsourcing your easiness to, others. And but if you wish it to be better, is you're taking responsibility for your destiny as opposed to outsourcing it to someone else. And so the fizzy pop moment for me is gone when you suddenly have a moment of clarity and you have an idea and you go, oh, that's the answer. So
Wow,
you've come up against the obstacle, you've been butting your head, the obstacle's winning, and then suddenly you found a sneaky way through.
I
And
love that.
and ideas are really the sneaky way through, or around, or over, or under. Um,
That's so cool. I'm writing loads of notes here. I just love it. It's brilliant. I love the your ideas of finding the sneaky way through. That's so cool. And if you were to use one word to describe yourself, what one word did you use?
Grit,
Wow, brilliant.
yeah. I kind of
Love that.
I'll I'll keep going. Um,
But that shows in everything you've done. I mean, with Howies, I mean, that didn't, the sale of that didn't. Well, I mean, obviously, didn't go particularly well. But you kicked around for a while, didn't you? And then you found something else, and
yeah,
but you kept going, didn't you? And that's something, in the film I watched recently. I think it was done by Sky, and
yeah,
that's what you talk about there, and to your daughters and your family, and that's just so. I don't know. It's just such a brilliant. It's just a brilliant philosophy that you have that you just keep on going. And grit is such a great word.
yeah. And it's because I think it's like discipline and consistency
Brilliant.
really aren't that attractive to a lot of people, but
Yeah.
ultimately is how you're going to win. And
Wow.
like, I mean, back when we started Howie's, we started in '95, but we didn't get our first paycheck till 2001. And when people don't really understand that, and they're going, "Oh, you sold it for a lot of money," and you go, "Yeah, but there was 6 years where I got no money."
Wow.
And even with the do lectures, the first decade, we didn't pay ourselves. And
Wow.
people, when they see success, they don't see how much you've had to endure in order
Mm,
to get there.
mm,
They only see the frothy bit, but they don't want to see the hard work bit. And that's why I kind of I respect deeply like fellow founders, because you know I know part of their story. Do you mean
mm,
I know part of it will be like from the jaws of victory. I know the emotions they feel every day, and
mm,
I respect them. Do you mean so?
mm, mm. Yeah. Amazing. And if you were to use one word to describe Hieatt Denim, what word did you use?
Ooh, beautiful,
Oh, that's so nice. And one word to describe Claire, your wife.
happy.
Oh, how lovely. David, I can't stop smiling. I knew that. Oh, I mean, I've known you for quite a few years, and I've listened to you talk many, many times. And thank you. I mean, I can't thank you enough. There are so many nuggets of just genius and wisdom and just amazement in this. Just honestly, this isn't a podcast. This is like it's just like a masterclass of thinking. It really is. Seriously, thank you so
Well,
much. Honestly,
that's my pleasure. Thank you. I enjoyed it. It's fun.
really good. And plans for the future. I mean, where's Hyatt heading?
Um, Hieatt is on the quest to be one of the most influential denim brands that currently employs 30 people in the world. And so, and and that, again, that comes back to ideas and like just every day, just push and sometimes we're always wanting the big win, but the big win is often just 1,000 small wins
Yeah.
and being okay with that. So,
I just love what you just said. Every day, just push. Oh
mm,
man, I might use that for the title of the podcast. David,
yeah,
thank you so much. Seriously,
okay,
I'm so
my
grateful,
pleasure.
and the best of luck with everything in the future.
Yeah, and you too, man.